Jeff, it's a pleasure, first of all, to talk to you, and I'd like to welcome you aboard the podcast where we kind of cover leadership. And you've had your hands in a lot of different organizations. So
Thanks. Great to be with you.
thank you. I'd love to have your words, first of all, just to introduce it, your background in 3 or 4 sentences. What makes Jeff Jeff?
Yeah, 3 or 4 sentences. Well, let's see. I founded a company called Varsity Spirit. The predecessor to it became eventually Varsity Spirit when I was 24 years old, and built it over the next 40 years into a $2 billion company with at maximum we had 6,000 employees. Um, Primarily involved the initial structure. The initial focus was on cheerleading, kind of transforming cheerleading and add all the acrobatics and things that you see now. And that was on training camps. Then we developed the concept of a cheerleading competition, was our idea. And then we added uniforms and equipment, and then eventually acquired the largest direct supplier of sporting goods, and then merged with a graduation company. That kind of gives you varsity brands. That's probably longer than 3 or 4 sentences.
No, but I love it because with that intro leads right to where I wanted to go with you.
Okay.
You took something, I always hear the phrase going from 0 to 60 in a company, and you took it quite big. And from, when did that transform for you in the sense, when did you say, oh, wow, this is a little more than just that mom and pop feeling company that
Yeah.
organizations, uh, when
Yeah.
did it hit you?
I think the first time that really happened was when the company went public, and it was a small public company. Probably wouldn't be able to go public those kind of revenues today, but small public offerings were kind of in vogue then. So when the company went public, um, hiring the investment bankers and then setting up the road show and going and going around the country to the major business centers, New York, Chicago, L.A., et cetera. Talking about telling the story of the company and what it did and what the future would be, and then having an incredible reaction and the stock 10 times oversold. And at that point, I realized, you know, this is something more than just a kind of a concept that I developed.
Was there a moment for you that you kind of felt like, wow, this is bigger than I expected. I need to like take a breath in and figure out what to do next on this, or how did
That took me a long time, and I'm not
really?
proud. I'm not proud of it. I mean,
You should be. It's
uh,
human to admit it and be,
I really probably, if I look back, I probably would have been better taking stock along the way.
yeah.
But I was frankly focused on, I mean, one of my sayings with my employees was always, when the wind is at your back, run, because it won't always be at your back. And so we had the wind at our back for a long time, not to say that we didn't have all kinds of challenges of things that went wrong and right and make adjustments. And, we had all of that. But um, generally, kind of the growth of the company was pretty linear. And I wish along the way I would have stopped and really, I don't know, taken stock of it and really, focused on what it meant, more than just like, okay, how do we keep going? And it was quite a ride, 40 years. And the company in all those years grew every single year, year over year, in revenues and profits except one. So 39 out of 40 years. I mean, I don't know any other company in America that can say that. There probably are some, but we were fortunate enough. We had a great team and people that were really committed to the vision that I had. And, a lot of, as you know, you're kind of in this business.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of entrepreneurs have a good idea and they tap out at a certain point when it becomes more than just the idea and getting it started, when you have to really lead and manage and do those kinds of things. I was fortunate to be in a position to kind of take it to pretty good size.
Well, when you say 40 years, I'm looking at your resume, and I've had a few moments in my career. I've handled a few media companies, and I'll look and say, I wish I knew what I know now when I'm 27. have you had those kind of leadership moments where you thought, "I was an idiot when I was 27. Why didn't I know this?"
Yeah, I mean, we've all got things that we regret. I mean, I've got, where do I begin, right?
Yeah.
But I think for me, a lot of it was not having. I grew up in a very much middle class family, and my father, who's kind of my mentor, I was in the oil business. He wasn't a big oil magnate, but anyway, he unfortunately died at a pretty young age of 58, and about the time I really got the company cranking, and I really missed his. I don't know, just common sense and advice. And so I didn't really have a real mentor. And so, when it came to figuring out how to take on financing to help grow the company and, do some different things like that, make acquisitions, I was really out there just kind of on my own. If I knew, as you were saying, if I knew then what I know now, I would have done a lot of that differently. But, yeah, all in all, it worked out pretty well.
Now, the size of the company too. I think you said it was 6,000 employees it hit
Yeah,
as.
at one point, yeah, yeah.
I feel like
But
with leadership, you can manage that team 5, 10, 15, 20. How do you handle 6,000 at that point and still keep your own identity within
yeah,
this?
it's a great question. Well, the identity and the identity of the company, because as you know, when you start a company, the company usually takes on the personality of the founder and the leader. And for me, there was no compromise. Again, when I started the company, we started out just doing these training camps for college and high school cheerleaders around the southern and the midwestern U.S. And I had these college cheerleaders who were my summer employees,
Yeah,
and so we were all about the same age. So it was pretty much. I mean, I was in charge, but the culture was very egalitarian,
yeah,
and we all had fun together. We worked hard, and there was one other company kind of in the business. It was kind of the original company that did some of the things we did, and so we were fighting to stay alive and fighting to win, and so everybody had to work really hard, but we were all good friends, and that kind of became the nucleus of our culture. By the way, I think the word culture is overused these days. A lot of people confuse a mission statement pasted on the wall as culture. Culture is what a company is at its essence. And for us, it was
standpoint.
about it
Yeah.
was about winning. It was about doing a great job. It was about making our customers happy, and it was about having a team that was really able to accomplish things and looked out for each other. And growing from 20 people when we started our first summer of camps through the years and trying to keep that kind of ethos alive was a challenge, but it wasn't something we were willing to compromise on. And that culture, we called it the heart and the fist, and it reflected who we were. The fist was like we were competitive and we were going to do whatever. I mean, legally, obviously, but we were going to really fight to win. And the heart was the kind of the feeling and the support we had for our fellow team members and our customers. And it served us well. It's probably not the sort of thing that's necessarily in vogue now, but it worked for us. Let's put it like that.
First of all, I love that. Second of all, I'm gonna pause this for 1 second before these allergies kill me. So if you don't mind, give me 1 second. I'm gonna hit pause
Sure.
on the recording. You mentioned culture
Yep.
and the when the team is tight, 6, 10 people, you can go out for dinner, you could keep your personality throughout it. How do you retain the culture even once it breaks? Like at 100, for example, I was running a company with 100 employees. I could
Yeah.
call them at least once a month, once every 2 months at 100. 6,000.
Yeah.
There's people you couldn't have met at that
Yeah.
point. How do you still try to keep that culture at that size?
Well, I think you do it kind of with these concentric circles of leadership.
Okay.
You start with your immediate team, the people. Well, the way I described it, I've described it before, and we've written about it. Is it's kind of I called it an inside outside approach. Sounds pretty rudimentary, but I always
inside out.
looked at where I spent my time, um, was two places. When the inside was the people, the team that reported to me that would go out and then they had their own major areas, those kept growing. And it was important that we were that inner circle, that team was on the same page philosophically, strategically,
Yeah,
what we were trying to do tactically, how we were measuring what we were doing. Um, and so that was one side of it. Then the others, and it was, and by the way, the parable of a trust but verify, I agreed with that as well. You know, that you've got to be, here's what we're going to do, and make sure you come back to me and tell me how you got that done. But then on the other hand, I felt like to really understand where the business was without filter, I needed to be where the customer was. So,
okay.
in addition to those strategic meetings with my team, I would go to actually ran camps until I was 60 years old. I was out at these camps with the
You
instructors.
were running around with
I was.
everybody at
I was teaching and interacting with the coaches and the athletes, and I would go to the competitions and walk, not only just walk around and make sure things are going well and talk to the employees, but also the customers. And I emceed the television show, so I felt like it was important because while I could understand and I got reports from people that I trusted, my team, there's nothing like just kind of being there and hearing it yourself.
yeah, yeah,
And I, in every event that I went to, I learned something, and it was important. And there were things that eventually led to major decisions. You know, that somebody made a comment about, I wish we could do this, or this would be better. And you look at it and go, wow, we can do this in a whole different segment. So it was that kind of inside outside model that really reflected kind of my approach to leadership. But you got to have great people. I mean, everybody says that, but
yeah.
I mean great people um, that really buy into philosophically what you're trying to do. Number one, and number two, have the ability to get that done to deliver. It's not easy. I feel very blessed to have a tremendous team and people that cared so much about what we were doing and really sacrificed for it. So it's had a lot of luck on that.
The buy-in. Um, you're talking to your team. So it almost sounds like you had this core circle of people of trust,
Yep.
and they were preaching your message out to the rest of the crew. Is that a
And living it. Yeah. Yeah, we all got our hands dirty. Nobody just stayed in the office. You know, we had our own corporate office where we probably had, I don't know, figure 100 people working, but everybody knew that part of their job was when things were happening to get out there. I mean, our CFO would be in a competition and be in charge of tabulating the results
yeah, yeah,
or a
yeah.
competition, someplace. Well, that way it wasn't just about the monthly financial report. It was about how are we doing things? What kind of impact are we having? Where can we spend our money better? Where can we invest our money better to help who we are and what we're trying to do? So that was a big part of it as well. I'm a big believer in again. It goes back to those early years where it was an egalitarian culture. That's one of the ways we tried to keep it.
Right now, you and I are talking. You're taking time out of your day for a podcast, and you were emceeing, you were working the you're always still making that choice, and you can't get it all done. How do you how do you reconcile with the fact there's only 24 hours in the day? How do you reconcile that? Because I feel like you probably could work 24 hours a day right now if you wanted to.
Yeah, yeah. If
Physically,
I
but
wasn't worn
it's
out, yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know. Work is, I tell people, I feel so lucky because starting that company and doing what we're doing and always eventually, getting feedback from the customers. Part of that going out and seeing
yeah,
the kind of what you've done and how it's affecting people and making people happy and giving them great life experiences. I never went to work one day in those 40 years where I dreaded it. Not one day. And I'm not bragging, it's just a fact. So that doesn't hurt. And it wasn't always just fun. I mean, it was rewarding and it was fun sometimes. But I think sometimes those things are just a kind of in your makeup, kind of genetically and psychologically, whatever. But then I think also if you're fortunate enough to do something that you believe in and
Yeah.
that makes a difference, where you get that kind of satisfaction. People say, "Well, I think you should do something that is fun or that you enjoy," and I go, I don't know about that. I mean, you need to do something that you believe in and where you think you can make a difference, then you will enjoy it. So that's kind
And
of
you
the way it's been
also
for me.
no, I love that, and I'm wondering too, you could enjoy it, it could be something you're into.
Yeah.
Still only X number of hours in the day. You
Yeah.
might end today and look at your to-do list and say, "This podcast went 10 minutes longer with Dominic than I thought, and I really should have called the accountant. I should have called the lawyer."
Well, Dom, as I tell people, the list never ends.
Yeah, so what
You
do you
never get through the list. When you leave at the end of the day, there's always that list where you start tomorrow and you never get it all done because there's always more incoming than there is outgoing, right? So you're right. I mean, it could go all, it could go 24 hours if we'd let it.
so what do you tell yourself when you look at that list that next day and say, "I should have done that instead too,"
Uh,
or
you know, um, I don't know. I think I've just learned that to try to let it go. I'm not very good at it. It's like as you know from
"Oh, yeah.
experience, when you start a business and it reflects you, your ego is tied up in it, your kind of your whole persona. So you never really leave it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You can't be, you're not lying on the beach reading a book and never thinking about it like other people are. I envy those people sometimes, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I guess that the work and what I'm doing has become so much a part of who I am that I just go with it, do the best that I can.
And it's funny you say because I feel like successful leaders, you tell like sit on the beach. I was on a cruise once and someone needed something on the team, and I said, "No problem. Of course, I'm answering the call. Why wouldn't I
Right.
jump in on that?" Is that part of the DNA to you that makes someone successful? It wasn't. I wasn't stopping a vacation. I was just doing what I do anyway, like just
Yep.
drinking and eating and working out or whatever.
Sure.
Is that part of the DNA of a leader that you just do what you got to do in a way?
Yeah, goes with the territory, right? It just does. And that also puts you, I never tried to do something or never tried to expect of the
Okay.
people who reported to me or anybody else in the company. I tried to never expect them to do something that I wouldn't do, and vice versa. It's like I expected myself to answer that phone call when I was on vacation or whatever, knowing that it was going to, now it better be important.
Yeah.
Like that, right? But I knew it would be important, and I would expect the same thing of them. I'm not going to try to call them on their vacation, but if I've got something that's critical to the company and what we're doing, then guess what? You got to take it. So, but I think the difference is the access. You're right about that. And I think the difference for me was that, and again, I'm not necessarily proud of this. Uh, the difference for me is I just could never leave it. I mean, I still had fun. I still had a great family life, had great kids, and was happy to be involved in their lives. But it's there all the time, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of work, and there's long hours, and not always the times that you want to be there. But I think that's just part of it.
You know, you've while you're talking, I'm also thinking, I feel like there's a wave to these things. You're starting a venture. In the beginning, did you set up the email? Did you figure out all those little weird details? Over time, those change. And some entrepreneurs I find, once that gets down of those day-to-day basics you have to do, then they start that new thing. You
Interesting.
started a few. I'm wondering, when do you get that itch, I guess?
Yeah. So what I tell people is that I think you have to always have your antenna up. Your approach has got to be one is that of an opportunist, and because the stars don't always line up when you want them to.
Yeah,
And while you're doing things and building whatever lines of business you're focused on, when new things come along, you don't have the luxury of going, I think I'll get to that in a year. It may not be there.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so I always looked at it like you've just got to always be open and take the time to look at new opportunities when they come along.
But sometimes you're also human. Has there been any opportunities that you've said to yourself, I really wish I could take this right, but it is
To,
not the right
to,
time in my life?
to take it back, or that I should have done it. Which one was that?
What you can't do it because you don't have the bandwidth at that moment in
Yeah.
time, whatever the
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think that there's some things that I love. I was a political science major in college. I love politics, and it became kind of a hobby for me
Yeah,
because I was running the business and I couldn't be a part of it professionally. And I look back at that and go, I wish I could have figured out how to balance that a little more. But
yeah.
as far as the business things, we didn't miss too much. Well, at least the things that I don't know what we missed. Let me put it like that. I'm sure there were some things, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we didn't miss too much, and we never missed it if we did because we were too busy. If it came along and it was there, then we tried to find a way to make it work.
You tried to find the time at that point.
Yep. Yeah.
What do you are there any things that you've done in your career that you still look back on and go, I really wish I did that one over?
Yeah, I think again that as I talked a little bit earlier about the whole kind of financing, once you we got to
Getting
a point
through those processes.
we were undercapitalized from the start. I mean, I capitalized the company with $85,000, more money than I thought we'd ever need. Kind of a joke. Now that was a
Yeah,
long time ago, but it still ended up not being enough because the company was successful, and we would every year go through this cycle because all of our revenue from summer camps came during the summer. So you do things promotionally and organizationally leading up to that, but it was kind of like make your money for 3 months and hold on by your fingernails and hope you get there. And we would literally go through all the money every year. And I was playing bet your life every year, and something goes wrong and there you are. But I think that when I first said, I got to have some more capital, and went out and we got a venture capital company to come along, and I took out some of my original investors, and once you get on that train, it's almost impossible to get off. I tell people, once you're in that, you're either going to go public, you're going to be with another private equity group, you're going to, because as an individual, you're probably not going to have the money to buy the company back. And so and I had good experiences, bad experiences with that. But as I look back, I wish that's where I said I missed my dad's advice at that time. I think he would have given
yeah.
me some different advice. And, but I missed it. I made the decision. Like I said, I wish I could have done it differently, but all in all, it worked out pretty well.
That's now I just realized while you're talking, your dad was obviously a big influence. 58, I think you said he passed.
Yeah.
Who do you turn to now?
Ah, a great question. I guess now I turn to my kids. uh,
Great.
family and, close friends still. I'm still good friends with, some of the people that I kind of brought along and mentored in the company. And that's pretty much it.
That's kind of an amazing thing to hear that you can reflect back to people you brought into the company.
Yeah.
One of
Yeah,
the
and
things I
they've been, they've done a really good job in carrying on. They were part of the company in its earlier days, not the very beginning, but earlier days, and philosophically, they believe in what it does and how we do things, and so they've been very successful as well. So it's gratifying to see, but it comes in handy. They're mature enough and successful enough that I can bounce things off them. They've got some great ideas.
see, one of the things I try to preach to teams is I'll say, I want you to tell me if I'm wrong. If you don't tell me if I'm wrong, I'm frustrated because I'm not perfect and I need to know
Right.
that feedback. And I feel like we look at leadership as always having the answers. And it sounds like you have to also instill to your team to say, no,
No,
let me be
I
that reflection to you.
agree with you 100%. I mean, we would have meetings where, looking back, maybe they got a little bit too heated but they were always fun. People could crack jokes. Now, don't get me wrong, we were doing serious things, but everybody had a chance to say their piece and defend their position, emotionally, whatever they needed to do. And I didn't just walk in and go, "Here's what we're going to do." I go, "Hey, this is an opportunity, or what do you think are opportunities? What do you think we should be doing differently, or how should we be affecting this?" And the meetings they were tense. They were fun to be in, fun to watch, but emotional. But you're right. If you, I mean, maybe I don't have enough confidence to think that, hey, I'd have all the answers. Um, I don't have that kind of confidence. I'm glad I don't. But I think you're right. I think over the long haul, I mean, you maybe have people that are in leadership positions that have a flash of success, but
Yeah.
those people that kind of build companies over a long period of time, have a long track record of success, are the ones that have great people around them and also listen to them. I watched an interview the other night with Elon Musk and his Doge team, just listening to kind of how they had approached what they were doing. No matter what you think politically, I mean, it's hard to argue with Musk's success and his vision and forward thinking. And he had a lot of really great young people. And guess what? He didn't do all the talking. I mean, he let them talk and explain things, and he didn't try to cut them off or whatever, but you could tell that they had that feeling of freedom and empowerment to be themselves, even with somebody with the stature of Elon Musk. So I thought that was pretty. He's got a lot of things that have made him successful. I got to believe that's one of the things as well.
How do you build, though, I'm one thinking, that culture that it's okay to be wrong, or it's okay that you might screw up, or it's okay, tell me if I'm wrong as a leader, because I feel like building that culture is critical. I've seen too many leaders, they think they know everything and they know nothing. And
Agreed.
it
No,
kind of
I think you're right.
backfires.
And eventually they run out. Eventually they come to something. They may make a lot of decisions that are right early on, but eventually they come to a point where they make a bad decision because they're not listening, and that's
Yeah.
the end of it, right? So, I think that look, I love team sports, and I wrestled some in college and so on, so individual, but I love team sports, and I really looked at building that company as a team. And as they say, a business is a team sport. And I say it's also a contact sport. But I think it sounds a little trite, I know, but I do think that everybody having their place on the team, being valued, I think it just creates an atmosphere where you win. I mean, if I was in a competition and maybe we have 10,000 people there and you've got four venues and you've got, all your 300 staff members, you have one staff guy that maybe be watching the door at the warm up area. Well, guess what? It's pretty important. And I try to always tell these people, thanks for your hard work. What you're doing is important. I wasn't trying to manipulate them. I really meant it. And I think just having the personality to appreciate everybody, every member of the team, giving them affirmation, giving them opportunity to move up, and giving them a chance to kind of share in the success of the company. I'm just a big believer, and that's what it takes to build a company. I wasn't interested in something, for 3 years. A lot of young people now, and I speak to young people that want to be entrepreneurs. Most of them do, by the way. They don't know what they're getting into, but it's a tech company, because I can do this and create an app and sell it and make a lot of money. I never really thought about that. I think it was more about how do we build something great? And that never ends, hopefully, if you keep changing and adapting. So I just believe that having, I think the people are the key. I just think that they are. And I think having an appreciation of everybody at every level and understanding it takes all of them, I think it's a real key.
You mentioned the team, and to expound on that, one of the philosophies I've had is a leader should be willing to sweep the floors if the team needs help to get out. Will leaders should need We're racing to the airport, leaders should be carrying those bags to get the team in through that airport terminal if need be. How often did you find you got your hands dirty? Maybe it wasn't your job in terms of being the coach of this team, but you have to move the whole team along. How often did you get your hands dirty and wash dishes when you needed to?
Yeah, a lot. And it's not a reflection on their lack of ability.
Yeah,
It was really just everybody, I was lucky enough to have kind of the overall perspective. Maybe I could see some things and how they fit in that they didn't see, or maybe there was something that came up that was unexpected. And I mean, this goes again all the way back to the beginning of the company when we were all about the same age and everybody helped each other out. And I just never felt like I was above that. Um, one of the dirtiest jobs in this industry is at the end of a competition, taking down the mats and folding them up and carrying them out to the truck. And I mean, it is not a fun job. All right. I always made sure if I was there when things had calmed down and people had left and all the excitement and everything was over, and there were people on my staff picking up those mat pieces, I put a piece of that mat on my shoulder and took it to the truck too. And, it's like I wanted to help, but I also wanted to show them what they were doing was important and I wasn't too good to do it. And that's just,
that feeds the culture, though. What I would assume, like when you're carrying the other person's bags, racing through the subways,
yep,
to get somewhere, I feel like it feeds the culture.
it
Do you?
does. And then you hope that they do the same thing for the people that report to them. And if you're lucky, they do. And if they don't, you hear about it. And people that don't fit into that culture, because people are willing to talk about, hey, you're not doing this. People had a very high expectation of performance from everybody. I used to tell people, I'm not going to criticize people in the company if we are performance snobs, that we
Yeah,
hold everybody to a high level. We have their back, we support them, but we expect a lot of each other. It's that kind of culture of excellence, continuous improvement. But I think that when people didn't at any level, if they were phony or they didn't buy in with that, it's one for all and all for one, they didn't last that long. They didn't last that long because everybody expected that from everybody else at every level.
when you're saying this all, someone asked me once what I look for when I hire, and question was phrased in a way of technical skills versus personality. And I said, I'm like 90% personality.
Yeah,
I could teach the person to lift the mats or whatever, but
that's right.
I mean, how far along on that scale do you agree with in terms of personality to
Mm.
technical skills?
I think that I agree with you. I mean, there are a lot of people who have the technical ability or the ability at any level or any job to do the job. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some really, high level scientific or medical jobs, but basically you have a pool of people that can do most jobs. So you're right. It does get down to personality. And that doesn't just mean they have to be outgoing. It just can mean, are they a hard worker? Are they a team player? Are they focused on making sure that all of our customers have a great life experience? Are those things important to them? And and lastly, are they kind? We said that's
Yeah.
one thing. What's the one thing at the end of the day? Just be kind. Be kind. I know it sounds trite, but it's work.
No, I was thinking of myself. It's like the most perfect cadence for this
Uh,
whole
Thank you.
conversation. If there's any one thing when you're looking to hire or build a team, be kind.
Yeah.
I agree 100% on that. I thank you. I think this is a great lesson and a great ending in leadership, and just be kind. Do your best and be kind.
Thanks. My pleasure. I've been very fortunate. I feel very blessed and looking forward to the next chapter. Appreciate your interest.
I appreciate it.